And welcome inside the Backstage Pass double shot today, too, as well, of shows. Our appreciation to Elvie Shane goes out for joining us there on the countryside, too. And now we get to, I guess, turn it up a notch a little bit here on the Backstage Pass, KKTC True Country 99.9, and our friends at HighTideCountry.net. And, of course, our other stations out there that play our great show, presented by our friends over at the CadenGordonShow.com. Today's best country mix. You know, they were the sound of that mid-'70s hard rock, too, as well, and they're still out there. What, 40-something years, 50 years going strong? I can't do the math. They're still around. That makes great music out there. Scott Holt of the group Foghat joins us here on the program. Scott, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
It's good, man. We're almost to July 4th and a little bit of time off, and we just finished all the CMA Fest stuff up there a couple of weeks ago in Nashville, and so doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Well, good, man. Good.
Staying busy. Hey, for you guys too, man, still out there. You know, I was mentioning there at the top, kind of making it funny there too. You know, even 70s and all the great songs you guys have put out over the years too. Talk about just what it's like to still be out there, man, doing it for the fans and playing hit song after hit song and going to these live shows and still performing after all these years.
Well, I think it's a testament to the quality of the music. I mean, those songs hold up. You know, they still are played on the radio today, and people still come to the shows, and the band has meaning to them. You know, of course, I wasn't there in the old days. I wasn't one of the original guys, but I get to experience the fans when they come to the shows and they talk about what the music meant to them growing up or what the music meant to them during certain periods of their life. Mm-hmm. And that's a big responsibility, especially when you come in like I did later on in the life of the band. You know, you have a responsibility to kind of uphold that banner and make sure that you are honoring the history of it.
Yeah, no doubt too. And like I said, it's just great to see everything kind of open up again, like you mentioned there too, with the shows and the fans coming to show their appreciation and still buy the concert tickets and, you know, buy the merch and show up and sing it all back to you guys and almost just pouring out their heart to all the great songs too. But I know it started with a great song out there too, because everything starts and ends with a great song. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Slow Ride out there too. And ironically, this is the title of the live in concert album that came out in April there for the same thing. Man, just what a song, what just well written, connecting to the audience, resonating in life in general, because we've all been on this, I guess, paradigm shift of back and forth and how tough life is, man. But we just got to remember to kind of slow down sometimes, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, obviously, a song like "Slow Ride," I wish I'd have written it. That's in fact that's my new answer. People ask me sometimes, "What song do you wish you'd written?" I wish I'd written "Slow Ride." But when you take a good groove and you write a song about sex, you can't really go wrong. So.
Yeah. I no doubt about that. Hey, when it comes to it too, and hey, speaking of that too, I just want to make love to you was a big hit back in the 70s too as well. Even the original recorded edition, and of course the live version too. And this one's got to be so well with fans too to connect with them too as well. Because another one, like you said, hey, it's you and your partner and just having a good time, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're not singing about love, you know, you're doing it wrong. So.
Hey, when you think back to those original days and how the group kind of came up together and just the history of this group you mentioned, kind of still out there doing their thing, but it all starts and ends with great members and good chemistry for band members. And it seemed like they had that at every band, all bands, no matter what genre of music, go through changes. But talk about just the longevity and the history of the guys staying together, because a lot of the original members, they hung around as long as they could.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the rule for rock and roll, I think, is that, you know, there's not really a retirement plan. You sort of do it until you can't do it anymore or until you drop. And I was lucky to be raised up by Buddy Guy. I played with him for 10 years. He's still out touring, and he's going to be 88 next month.
Crazy.
You know, Roger's going to be 78 this year. And he's still, you know, swinging just as hard as ever. So those guys are my inspiration to keep going. But a band's a delicate mechanism. I mean, it you can take one person out of a band and plug somebody else in, and it changes the sound, it changes the dynamic, it changes everything. They had a really unique and special. The original four guys was a real unique combination. I think Tony Stevens left first, the original bass player. And there was a couple of years where Nick Jamison sort of stepped in and played bass for him, and then Craig McGregor took over. And you know, when you listen to the band, I mean, it still holds up and it still sounds great. That was one of the things that I think they were always really smart about doing is they always manage to get really good players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not including myself. I'm talking about everybody else, but they always got, you know, really great musicians who elevated the situation. You know, they didn't have to drag anybody along.
Yeah, and that's the thing you mentioned there too. Like I said, bands going through changes, but that chemistry and that camaraderie too, because you know you spend so much time on the road doing 150, 250 shows, whatever the number may be, you know, per
Yeah.
year to get out there and entertain fans. And that camaraderie, and you go to eat together and you do stuff. You stay on the tour bus and you get off and you play a show and you get up and you drive, you know, 2 or 3 hours, 4 or 5 hours, whatever it is, to the next town. And that camaraderie and chemistry is very important, right?
It's absolutely necessary. Now, having said that, I've been in bands and situations where, you know, you get to a town, you get to the hotel, and everybody scatters, and you don't see anybody until load in. You know, or if you're lucky, you see them at load in. And I've been in bands like this band, where we get to town and we all go out to dinner together, and you know we hang out, and a lot of times we end up sitting in the lobby just hanging out and laughing and cutting up. Just we like each other and we get along.
Mm-hmm.
The band, the crew, everybody in this organization is like a big family, and it's probably my favorite season of my career. Certainly, it's the best group of people I've ever worked with. I'm having the most fun that I've ever had making music, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of it.
No doubt, too. And you guys have just such a eclectic sound out there, too. And I love this live and concert record. Let's dive into this, which came back out in April, which was so some live stuff. I mean, out there, you got Driving Wheel is really setting the tone for this record. And, of course, you make it down through all the hits and everything, too. Talk about the work and just the great crew and people, producers and writers and things that you guys went into to make this live and concert record.
Well, that was a record that was made actually before I got with the band, but it's got Brian Bassett playing guitar on it. Who's our lead guitar player these days. And Brian's just an amazing musician, incredible guitarist, incredible slide guitarist, incredible human being. I mean, just one of the smartest, kindest, funniest, you know, you name the adjective and he fits the bill. I really consider him, you know, one of my best friends and something of a big brother. I mean, you know, there's a familial relationship to everybody in the band. But Brian is just one of the best guitar players I've ever played with. And I've only played with two guitar players. I've only been in a band with another guitar player twice. And once was with Buddy Guy and once is in this band. So he's in good company too, actually.
No doubt too. And what a great way to kind of show, I'd say a different side of it though, because you hear people hear the recording all this time when you go out to the shows and stuff like that too. Recording in studio, I should say, and then going out to the live shows and then taking some of this, like you mentioned, where it was live, 1998 or 1999, going back, like you said before, they made this record before you got into it too. But just what a great different sound compared to what you can hear from the recorded version, from what takes place in the studio compared to what they do live.
Well, the component that happens live that you don't have in the studio is that adrenaline. You know, I mean, you a lot of times, especially for me, I have to work twice as hard not to play the song too fast because your heart's going a million miles an hour. Your brain's flying. You know, a lot of times on stage, I'm 3 songs ahead in my brain, and I'm having to slow down to sing the song that we're actually doing rather than, you know, trying to get to the one that I'm thinking about. And so, but there's that energy. You know, when we hit the stage every night, it's full bore. Everybody's playing at the top of their game and everybody is excited to be there. And that's what we want to convey to the audience. And I know that's what Foghat's been doing their entire history. And for the live record that you're talking about from 99, I'm sure they were doing it then too. It's, you know, we got to do something that makes you understand and realize coming to this show was way better than listening to this on a record. You know, you had to come and feel this and you had to hear that, you know, feel that air moving from those amps and, you know, see what stupid stuff the lead singer is going to try to pull off. But it's the live thing is just a completely different animal.
Now, growing up too, looking at just classic rock or I say hard rock the way it was too, a little bit of both there too. Give me some other bands that kind of, you know, did it for you. Obviously, people can say, you know, some classic rock stuff like AC/DC, maybe some Def Leppard stuff like that, but other genres of music that really made you tick.
Well, see, I started out in the blues because my first job was playing with Buddy Guy. So for the first 10 years of my existence, you know, my rock star heroes were B.B. King Freddie King and Hound Dog Taylor and Sonny Boy Williamson and Little Walter and people like that. I was aware of rock music. I listened to it, and I was into bands like AC/DC and Van Halen and all the usual suspects. But one of the things that I learned from being in Buddy's band was the broadness of what I was exposed to. I joined the band thinking it was just going to be a straight blues. Everything's going to be blues. We're never going to listen to anything else. Everybody's listening to Muddy Waters. And it wasn't like that at all. None of the guys in the band really listened to blues. I guess it was because they'd heard it all their lives. They'd grown up around it or whatever. But, I learned a lot about jazz. I learned a lot about, R&B, like Earth, Wind and Fire and Stevie Wonder. Those were, because Buddy would quote musical phrases from other artists in his solos and stuff. And I'd start to pick out when he would play a phrase from a Stevie Wonder record or an Earth, Wind and Fire record. I learned a lot about world music, African music and Cuban music and stuff like that. And it taught me that the broader your scope is, the more influences you can draw from, the deeper your well of creativity is going to be.
And no doubt too. And that's the beauty of it too, is it was talking to a lot of country artists here on the program too, because you see that collaboration become more important in the industry now too, because country's got a little bit of pop and a little bit of this, a little bit of that gospel drawing on it too as well. And we were just in an event for Sunday Morning Country here, and some of the best gospel singers out there a couple weeks ago at the Grand Ole Opry too, when I was there doing a live broadcast. And just the mix and the collaboration, I think that's a good thing, because everybody knew, even from every decade, the music industry is going to change in some form or fashion, right?
Well, it's funny that you talk about that, because I'm 40 miles south of Nashville. I grew up here, so country music's been in my backyard my whole life. And if you look back at the history of country music, whatever the next thing was considered pop by the old heads of country. Like I'm sure there were some old or people when Hank Williams came out that were like, he's messing up our music or whatever. He's this kid's too young. He doesn't know enough. And I've watched it progress like that through, when guys like Vince Gill and Garth Brooks came on the scene and started making it big. Everybody was turning back to Merle Haggard and George Jones. Oh, that's the real country music. But it continues to evolve. And I think if music doesn't evolve, it becomes stagnant. And genre speaking, country music's like the blues and it's like rock and roll. It's either going to move forward and evolve, or it's going to die. And, I don't think we could afford to lose any music, really.
Yeah, an old like you said, classic country, classic rock, and everything there. It's going to move some people, and like I said, that's the beauty of it too. And I got to credit and get your opinion on this. We'll talk about the songwriters when we come back to, and I love this album, Sonic Mojo. I want to focus on that too when we come back from the group Foghat here on the Backstage Pass. Again, hightidecountry.net and our friends at KKTC True Country 99.9, and maybe some other stations coming up here too that we're in talks with to syndicate with. Stay tuned for that in the coming weeks too here on the Backstage Pass. More with Scott Holt on the show coming up here. Quick timeout for our sponsors. Stay tuned.
The Caden Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thecadengordonshow.com. Again, that is thecadengordonshow.com.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with Scott Holt on the Backstage Pass. Again, hightidecountry.net and our friends KKTC True Country 99.9 out there too. And talking everything Foghat out there too. And of course, the live and concert records, Slow Ride is across all those platforms out there right now for your listening pleasure. But I got to go back to one even last year, Scott, that was really just a different side of it too. You still play a lot of the great classic rock on there too, but Sonic Mojo, man, this is it's got people moving, especially with those first 3 songs.
Yeah, man, I'm real proud of this record. We did this record and released it in November, and it debuted on #1 on the Billboard Blues charts. and stayed in the top 10. It's still in the top 10. It's been there since for whatever this is, the last 7 months or whatever. It's been received by the Foghat fans so well, and everybody else, you know. And it was really a labor of love for us. I mean, we did it at our studio down in Florida where we rehearse and write and stuff. And it was just, it's one of the easiest records I've ever made. It just came together just so naturally. And we had our friend Kim Simmons from Savoy Brown write about 3 of the songs on it, or co-write them with us. And, you know, it was one of those things that just, I'm real proud of the record. And every time we play one of the tracks from it live, I'm excited about that.
Well, I got to get the story behind a couple here because I love storytelling when it comes to music too, especially the writing aspect of it. This one, Mean Woman Blues. Got to get the backstory of this one.
Yeah, well, that the first time I heard that song was Elvis. That was an old Elvis song. And then I heard a Jerry Lee Lewis version. There's a live Jerry Lee Lewis record from the Star Club in Hamburg, Germany. And if you want to know what rock and roll is, find that record and listen to it, because that's the definition of rock and roll. But I loved that song. Roger, you know, that's one of the things. Roger and I get along really well, and we have a lot of similar interests. But one of the big ones is music. You know, we both love a lot of the same types of music. And you know, we're both big Sun Records fans, and so a lot of the artists that came through that label out of Memphis. But he had mentioned this song when we were talking about some stuff that we wanted to put on the record. He said, well, I'm thinking about doing Mean Woman Blues. And he said, but I want to do it with a Latin feel. And I only knew the rock and roll, you know, the Elvis type thing. And so I was like, well, okay, let's see how this works. But, you know, I defer to the knowledge of my elders, and he was correct and wise, and he was right. And we got a good take on it. So.
No doubt too. And she's a little bit of everything. I think that's gets right to the point of someone that's in your life too as well, that really she's a little something for everything, a little sauce,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Kim gave us that song. He sent us demos of the songs. He'd send us him singing and playing guitar, if I remember right. And then we'd kind of, we'd rearrange it, or we'd move the words around or something to kind of make it flow. But that one was definitely, I think, him writing about his wife. And, so every night when I get to sing it, I'm thinking about my wife, and hopefully the audience members are thinking about their significant others. Buddy used to tell me, in reference to women, if the good Lord made anything better, he kept it for himself. So I agree with that.
I remember seeing him there a few years ago. They love playing the casinos, man. Something about it. Louisiana's a good spot down here too for the LaBerge Casino and Golden Nugget. And he loved Buddy loved coming to play down here. That's probably where I saw you last time too, as well too. Before I know you guys were with Foghat too. Black Days and Blue Nights. Give us the backstory of this one.
That was a song that we in the band, along with our manager Linda, wrote. And it's about Rod Price, the original lead guitar player for Foghat. And, Roger and Linda had started writing it. They had some of the lyrics written, and of course they both knew Rod, obviously. And Brian knew Rod, but I'd never met him, and I don't think Rodney ever met him either. So for me, it was kind of, trying to take the elements of what they were saying, and all I could really do was just sort of, make the meter work. So when I sang it, it would flow. But I love the song, man. I'm real proud of it. It's we play that one live every night, and that's one of my favorites.
Good stuff right there. Rod Price, I tell you, man, one of the best of all time to do it too. I mentioned the songwriters there too, and there's so many great ones. You mentioned 40 Miles South in Nashville too, and every time we get to go cover a CRS or a CMA week or something like that, or go back for a Keith Whitley Memorial show we're going to do this weekend. I'm hopping a plane Thursday, coming back Saturday for a big broadcast there in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, for a Keith Whitley show we're going to do on Saturday night, concert and some live interviews. But it's always cool to, like I said, pay a tribute to the late greats, no doubt about it too. And for this album, it just really feels there's so much of a history on it too. But I credit that too. Part of it is, we focus a lot here on the artist on the program, like yourself too. But I always got to take that little time, Scott, to throw it out there and give kudos and thanks to the great songwriters. Talk about that, because without songwriters, there wouldn't be this thing called music.
Yeah, all songs would sound like this. I mean, Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we draw from the best. I mean, we have a song on the record by Willie Dixon. We have a song on the record by Chuck Berry, one of the great American poets of all time. Rodney Crowell wrote one of the songs that we recorded for this record. Uh, you 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 know you have there's just a wealth of art to draw from. And like I said, living close to Nashville, there, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a songwriter around here, man. So, and they get real mad when you hit them with cats too. But, but yeah, I mean, a great song. It's like we were talking about earlier about the Foghat, the legacy and everything. Great songs. Great songs don't have a shelf life. They don't, get stale or go out of favor,
No doubt. And you look at one like that stood the test of time for 1975 that I go back to, Fool for the City.
Yeah.
Does it ever get old to play?
No. And dude, I swear this is the truth. Every night when we kick that song off, you can feel the audience do one of these things. It's like everybody just starts levitating. And it's exciting to be strapped to the front of the Foghat train when we start roaring into that one.
I love it too. And I just imagine I want to get to a show. So that what I love about it too is the smoke and the special effects and just how hard that your crews work behind the tour managers and everybody to set all this stuff up too, because it takes a collection of everybody. We talk about, just a collaboration in the business, but man, having a good roadies, good tour manager, people that set it up and run sound and do smoke and special effects and things like that, lighting and do a show. Talk about just how important that crew is.
Well, when we hit the stage every night, the audience sees us and hears us performing the music, but they don't realize the amount of people and the amount of hours and work that went into, getting us to the gig and setting the gig up and advertising the gig and scheduling flights and cars and trucks and trains and whatever, however we're getting where we're going. And these are the people that we depend on. And some of them you could see, you can catch glimpses of on stage. The guitar tech brings out the guitars when Brian's changing guitars. Our drum tech, Eddie, plays percussion on some of the songs, so he comes out. But our tour manager, Mike, he's always, all over the building, all during the show. I'm not sure exactly what he does, but I'm sure it's very important, and then, we've got a great front of house sound guy. It's a great crew. There's people in the office that take care of everything. We've got a great office manager, Rose, and she's the one that reminds me that I've got an interview to do. and make sure that I've got all my information and know how to contact you and
absolutely.
And so I run around for about a half hour before this going, I don't know how to get a hold of him. I can't. And then she makes it all better.
It makes it all better, no doubt about it too. Good people make the team what it is. Teamwork makes the dream work. All that good stuff out there. A couple of more off that Sonic Mojo record we're going to talk about here after our final time out here again. Foghat's Scott Holt joining us here on the Backstage Pass. We'll talk about two more off that Sonic Mojo record. Have a little fun, do a little rapid fire, and put a bow on it too. Head to Nashville coming up this week on Thursday for the Keith Whitley Memorial Show this Saturday night coming up at the Patron Center in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. And of course, anybody who's everybody, just like, hey, Foghat members, they're all going to be spread out. Country artists everywhere too. And we'll have exclusive coverage of the event right here on the Backstage Pass 2 times to Nashville in a month. That's a lot of frequent flyer miles are adding up too.
That's
no doubt.
True. That's true. You got to dodge a lot of bachelorette parties too. If
I
you're
do.
going
Yes.
downtown.
Broadway was
Ooh,
stays busy.
Man.
Constantly. They call it Nash Vegas for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Coming right back, a word from our sponsors. Again, more with Scott Holt. It is the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned. And of course, back here on the Backstage Pass, quick time out here for our friend over there too, and one of our most competitive guys in the business too, man. He hustled in Nashville a few weeks ago there at CMA Fest 2024, and of course, moving forward, I've loved the relationship with this gentleman out there too. He's one of the hardest working guys in the business out there here and partnering with us on the Backstage Pass, the CadenGordonShow.com. Today's best country mix. Caden, tell us all about this, man, because you've got a great show out there too.
Oh, I'd be happy to. Thank you so much for allowing me to partner with you. And the Caden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. We started about 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's when you started the Backstage Pass, was about 5 years ago. So that's kind of funny how we have that resemblance. But we started out back in 2019. I've been doing this for the last 4 years. We're on over 150 stations all over the world, in the U.S., UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa, all over the place, including KKTC 99.9 True Country and many other stations. I also run my own media and promotions company, KJG Media and Promotions. We do radio distribution, all that kind of stuff as well. We've had some big guests on. Recently, we just had the Sarah Evans on the show, so we're super excited to have her and had that interview be done. We've also had Parmalee and Rain Johnson and so many big stars as well come on my show. We've done a little over, I think we're at almost 2,500 interviews I've done in the last 4 years. It's crazy. Yes, I have been. But the best way to find what I'm up to is you could look me up on social media, either under Caden Gordon or the Caden Gordon Show, Today's Best Country Mix. And you can go to my website, which is thecadengordonshow.com. That's KAYDENGORDON show.com.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Appreciate the loyalty. Love the partnership here on the Backstage Pass. Had a lot of fun. Accomplished a lot at CMA Fest 2024, and appreciate you always being loyal to us. And again, man, just can't wait to take everything into the next stratosphere out there too with you. And always enjoy having you here on the Backstage Pass. And you'll be hearing from Caden a lot here as we get forward to the next 6 months of 2024. Appreciate you being with us, partner.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You got it. That is Caden Gordon from the CadenGordonShow.com. Today's Best Country Mix and more of the Backstage Pass coming up here too with more great guests and more great interviews. Stay tuned for a lot more. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with Scott Holt on the show. Foghat touring out there. Check them out, foghat.com, and make sure you get your tickets city near you. The show could be coming there pretty fast, and I guarantee you, if they're back in Louisiana, down here in Texas, this yours truly right here on this show is going to a Foghat show. Never got to experience it. Listened to him since the I was born in 1980, so look back, I was young, but I still grew up.
A baby. You're just a baby.
Exactly, but looking back at it, I'm telling you, man, it was the sound of classic rock in the late 80s, and I was 5-6 years old when I started listening to Foghat out there. Hey, back to the Sonic Mojo. A couple of them really really paint a picture. She's Dynamite was one of them too, and the second one off that record, it describes life. A time slips away.
Yeah, Time Slips Away was another Kim song, and that one was I've got some real strong visual memories of recording that. Kim wrote that, I think, right before he passed away, or after he'd gotten sick. So it's a really poignant message the song has, and I just remember recording that. And if I remember right, Brian and I were kind of working on the vocals alone, and it was at late afternoon, and the sun's coming through the windows, and it's just I just have a real strong memory of doing that song. She's Dynamite, on the other hand, was I think the first single that B.B. King released. Yeah, and he recorded it at the YMCA in Memphis, and so I've always loved that song, and of course we don't play it like BB did, but nobody can. That's I think the thing about and Foghat did this from the beginning. When you're going to record somebody else's song. Mm-hmm. Unless you're going to do their version better than them, you better come up with another way to present it. And so that was the strategy with that song for sure.
Hey, you live in Tennessee there for a long time, and I love my hot chicken, my friend. I got to go back and try it again.
Yeah.
I did some Hattie B's the first time, but I got to get this. This they call it the OG, which is, they say Prince's is like the OG place. For you, is it hot chicken, and what are some of your other favorite restaurants?
I love hot chicken. Prince's is the bomb, man.
Okay.
And Hattie B's is good. Nashville's changed in the last 10, 15 years. Before that, if you didn't eat at a meat and three, you were going to starve to death in Nashville. There just wasn't anything here. But now it's become a foodie town, and there's all kinds of stuff. And you can actually get, good Greek food and good Italian food. And there's even a Egyptian food truck that I've been wanting to try out. So they got everything here, so you won't go hungry if you come to Nashville.
I gotta try Egyptian. I don't even try that.
I don't even know what it is. Have some
Try
fried
that one.
shrinks or something.
We find something down there, brother. Like I said, it reminds. Or I tell you what, I do love Indian food too.
Yeah,
It's one of the curry, and like I said, that I forget what they call the bread. The bread's like a
the naan
like
bread.
yeah.
Yeah.
I say pita bread, but almost say yeah. It's just it's
Yeah, there's a
dipped that
couple of
gravy.
good Indian restaurants in town too. So I mean, it's turned into a a real city.
You know, it's funny, Scott. At the airport now, you've got some of the best restaurants. You don't got to leave the airport.
You can get hot chicken at the Nashville airport, by the way. I think they've got I think it's a Hattie B's, but it's definitely a hot chicken spot. I see it every day when I fly out.
No doubt, it's good stuff right there too. All right, give me some fun hobbies, some things you like to do when you guys you're not touring music. What are some of your other hobbies?
I don't really have any, man. I play guitar all the time. That's all I've ever wanted to do. That's all I do. I've got a wife and a daughter. And if I'm not playing my guitar, they come up with all sorts of errands and projects for me to deal with. So my daughter and I were just talking about it today. We were in the truck and we were looking at each other and I was like, how did this day get away from us? Because we've just been going all day. And she said, I don't know, Daddy. She said, it seems like this every day. I'm like, I know. It's just like a windmill. So no, I don't really have time for hobbies. I love music too much to waste time.
Hobby in itself, no doubt. Any other hidden talents that we don't know about?
None that I'm going to tell you on a streaming thing. No.
Nice. I love it. Some people say we do card tricks or we do this or I'll do what was that show years ago on TV, Stupid Pet Tricks or whatever.
There you go,
whatever. I mean, just really hobbies too as well. All right. If you've never been a working musician, what other career path would you have taken?
Man, I honestly, my wife and I were talking about that not too long ago. I don't know what would have happened to me. I would have probably ended up in prison or something because I had no plan B. I had no alternate thing that I wasn't interested in anything. I didn't want to do anything. All I wanted to do was play music. And I just worked really, really hard at it to make sure that I could do it. And it, there's been plenty of times when it was a rough patch, and you're sitting there thinking, wow, maybe I should have had a plan B. But, I just stayed faithful to it and just, God's taking care of me. So I'm appreciative for that.
That's all you can ask for too as well. All right. First song you ever sang live on stage when you stepped in, no matter at what point in your music career?
First song I ever sang live on stage. It was probably, it might've been Pride and Joy, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Maybe. I don't know that. Don't hold me to that. Cause I think my first gig was at a keg party out in the middle of a field. So good luck finding anybody that could tell you I'm lying. But yeah, that was probably the first one.
I like it too as well. Well, I tell you what, from Buddy Guy to Foghat out there too, Slow Ride live and concert records out there, and of course all the other music we've been talking about today is available for your streaming purposes out there too. And check them out. Like I said, it could be coming to a city near you. Get some merch, go out there and support them, show them some love. And the guys have been doing it for a long time. And it's foghat.com too as well to check out all those tour dates and go grab the live and concert record across all those digital streaming platforms. Scott, good to meet you, my friend, and appreciate you being a part of our brand and what we got going on here for hightidecountry.net and our friends at KKTC True Country 99.9. Best of luck on the road. Safe travels, my friend, and looking forward to more great music out there.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me and come out to a show. I'd like to say hi.
I will definitely do that. No doubt about it, too. We're back tomorrow, too. Not sure who's coming on. Got to check the schedule, but we pop a plane, get to Nashville, back to B&A Airport up there for the Keith Whitley Memorial Show this Saturday in Goodlettsville, Tennessee at the Patron Center. Come out, see us, say hi, and everybody will be there. Trust me. I know our good friend Daryl Worley is going to be there, too. We just talked to him there a couple of weeks ago in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. And, of course, we're back for one final show for this week. And happy early 4th of July. Whatever you do, make sure you guys do it safe out there, too, because a lot of people on summer vacation. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on the show. Until then, take care. God